Hey, collective, what is going on? Welcome into the channel. So happy to be here with you always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we're going to look at the energy for the upcoming week via the tarot, astrology, any channeled messages. And we're also going to integrate some Ayurvedic living, holistic wellness, lifestyle, habits, well-being, things that can really just kind of like honor our physiology, our mind, our body, our soul as we navigate through the more difficult aspects of life. With that, let's get into it. I hope that you are doing well today. Let me just make sure we got sound. Okay, great. We have sound. Things are up and running. So good. I apologize for some of the difficulties yesterday. I had originally scheduled the live to go yesterday, and I'm having some renovations done. The contractor told me last minute he was coming over right before the live. He said it was going to take 10 minutes. It did not. So I appreciate your patience, flexibility with me always. And yeah, welcome in. It is a new week. We are starting off the week with a full moon. We had a full moon yesterday in Sagittarius, and I personally really like Sagittarian energy because it does help us grow and expand, specifically beyond our limitations, right? The things that are kind of holding us down, keeping us back, that Sagittarian energy really helps empower us to overcome. And I feel like that's a lot of what it's about. It's about overcoming the challenges, being really mindful, dialed in to kind of what's going on in your life, in your world, so that you're navigating things with fluidity and balance. Sagittarius is fire energy. It was also tensely aspected with Mars, also fire energy. So when things aren't going our way, there's a tendency to get a little heated or maybe throw a little bit of a adult temper tantrum. Not that I'm saying that you are, but something along those lines, where sometimes it's a bitter pill to swallow when we're trying to make certain things happen and it's just not. And we've been combating that a lot in the astrology lately on the day to day. Like I feel like we've definitely been in this time where we have to learn certain lessons, where we have to get confronted with certain truths, especially the things that are playing out in our daily reality, right? Seeing people, relationships, dynamics for what they are, making changements and adjustments where necessary, and kind of finding a way to, like, that value of internal conflict has come up for us a lot lately. So finding a way to make peace within is what I'm hearing. And that's not easy because it takes a lot of intention. We all have a million things going on the day to day. And so sometimes taking a step back, being aware, processing through can be an extra to do, and kind of annoying at that, right? If only we could just like coast on in life, right? But then perhaps we wouldn't evolve. So that's also why I like to start the readings off with an energy cleansing, just to set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out those places we might feel blocked or limited. It's a really good time to set your own intention as well, especially if you have come in with something on your heart, on your mind, something you would like spirit to deliver messages to you around. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. It really is a great way to personalize these collective readings. I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing and wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, or if you are interested in more of that realignment of self, your mind, your body, your soul. I do energy healing, pranic energy healing to be specific, as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. Because when we're strong, grounded in self, when we know self, that's really where we're able to tap into our happiness, our fulfillment, our abundance. It makes manifesting way easier. And I would totally love to help support you in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, with that, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light. pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Smoky. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so we may see and understand the messages clearly. Help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, spirit guides, guardian angels, Mama Love. All right, so I am picking up a little bit of an energy of confusion. I'm not sure where this is stemming from, but like, yeah, like confusion about like not really knowing where to go or like maybe what is next, like what you have in store for you next. Just feel like a little bit off, maybe not making a lot of decisions. Also, trying to see what comes your way is what I'm hearing. Like maybe you're not being so proactive in certain things. I love this. Okay, attract through the glow. That's where your victory comes into play. And I like that energy. Whether you're completely embodying that value of like being who you are, being content, at peace with, hey, this is who I am. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's also okay too, right? And that is what helps bring the right people, the right situations, the right dynamics to us. Hold on, sorry. Thought I sorry, I thought I saw a chat. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it. Sometimes I get very into the reading, so please don't ever take it personally. I love to engage with the community. I totally love when you guys drop comments below. 100%. I appreciate. I still haven't been able to see. I got to figure out some like technicalities on YouTube. I'm not the most intentional person on that stuff, but anyway. All right. So, yes. Okay. So, beginning of the week, the energy does feel well, there is some tension coming into play, right? It's like the tension between how we want things to feel versus what they actually do feel like, or like the places where maybe we want to be a little bit more, like I was talking about earlier, like we don't really want to work too hard, we don't want to effort too much because it feels a little bit not fair at this point or something. I'm not sure, but I like this magnetism through gratitude. So having that disposition of being thankful wherever you find yourself, there's always, always, always things we can be thankful for, right? There's always, you know, even if it is the most basic things, I feel like I can speak for myself, is maybe what I'll say. Like, there's so many times I can complain about what I like to call gold plated problems, right? Things that, there's so many other blessings. And it does feel like some of that is very important. I think that that actually tags back to some of that attracting through the glow, not putting a lot of expectations on what is happening right now. Like and we've been getting this message a little bit within the last week or so. It's doing the work for the sake of the work, right? Actually finding those places of enjoyment, committing to things because you love to do it, or because it's best for your well-being or your stability long term, whatever that looks like, right? We might not love, I don't know, maybe like work as an example. We might not love like our like working, but there's a lot of benefits that work provides. And not just like the financial, yes, that's a huge component, but just also like keeping our mind active, keeping our body active, having that socialization. There's so many positive things that come into play. And sometimes we lose sight of those things, especially when we are going after X, Y, and Z, or, we're changing certain things up in our life. get out of your head. This is actually, it's not a surprise to me. It's in the blocked energy this week. So you might be in your head a lot. We're in Gemini season, which is air energy. It's connected to our mental, our intellect, the way we communicate, etc. And so there might be a lot of like overanalyzation I'm hearing during the week. Especially because like I feel like here's the thing, I feel like you're really investing in self. Like you feel very invested in whatever you're doing day to day. But there also is this feeling of like, I don't know where I'm going, or I don't know where this is headed. And that might just be because certain aspects of what you're trying to draw in haven't manifested quite yet. And you might feel a little bit like you're twiddling your thumbs, is what I'm hearing. But beginning of the week, it's really talking about how we just want to make small steps, big accomplishments. It's really so much of the change that we're trying to bring into our life, better ourselves, our environment, our money, whatever it may be. And that change happens through the small, simple things we do day in and day out. It's not the monumental change. And I think like that instant gratification or whatever, like so often we're looking for those big magical moments, and they do happen 100%, right? But it often is coming off of the heels of whatever you're doing, right off the bat. Five of Pentacles. I don't know. Like maybe it's just kind of hard to be with self right now, is what I'm hearing. Feeling like you're missing out, or maybe because I'm hearing like maybe because you have to put your attention to other things first. It feels like you can't really do like, I don't know if you're not spending time with people, or like it just feels like there's certain things that you can't do, or you kind of have to bypass because you have other things on your agenda. And so that might feel a little annoying and frustrating, that we're seeing beginning of the week with Venus and Jupiter in opposition to the fortune point. So in the fortune point is Capricorn energy, which that is all about like, okay, if you want this thing, then you do have to work for it. If you want change, if you want whatever it is that you're calling in right now, we have to put in the hard work. There is a certain natural order to things, those small steps. Otherwise, it does kind of resonate as this Knight of Wands energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It can be a little bit of a fickle energy, very non-committal. Ace of Pentacles in the blocked energy, beginning of the week, new beginnings. It just seems like whatever you're kind of endeavoring through, it is causing stress and burdens, or you just have a lot on your plate. And maybe it's really hard right now to see through it all. If anything, I feel like you're trying to like get like work through it to the best of your ability, and you are managing it, but it also feels really heavy. It also feels really burdensome. I'm going to clarify this Ace of Coins as well, because it seems like you might be able to do things differently with better results. Judgment, wake up call, the Tower. Ooh. What is this? Okay. Knight of Pentacles. You're moving slow on something. Like I just see this more as because you have a lot going on in your environment. And ultimately there are some changes that are happening. And I think that that's like what you're gearing up for ultimately. These feel like bigger changes that you're not making right now, but are going to have to be addressed in the future. And I feel like that's where this like law of attraction is very important for you right now, because I'm hearing it's like it's not only that you don't want to, but I'm also hearing like even just that value from spirit, like you don't have to work yourself to the bone in order to receive. And I think if anything, you are seeing things correctly, but there's an aspect of this that maybe could be let go. There's an aspect of this that is really weighing you down. and in a way where I do see you either wanting to be done and over with it, maybe you just can't right now. Maybe you have, again, like, you kind of need some type of support, whether even if it's not the best type of support, it might just serve its purpose right now. Getting your footing, feeling a little bit more confident, stable in self. Because as the Knight of Wands, it's like you're doing things, you're making things happen, things are like kind of moving in your favor, but at the same time, it feels a little overwhelming or something, right? Like, and I hear this more as like things being a little bit too willy-nilly, like all over the place, or like I was picking up before, you might be trying a lot of different avenues and options and just nothing is following through. I think you have to make a solid plan to give you a little bit more structure. And I think you're seeing that as well. Because it's almost like the more you do X, Y, and Z, like the more, like, I'm hearing it as you're like trying to make something perfect that maybe can't be, right? Like maybe you just have to follow through and pull off the band-aid is what I'm hearing. Even though that's not fun, even though that does come with certain repercussions, they're not bad because again, you know you're eventually going to be at this space anyway. But I think there's something that keeps getting in the way. And I think part of this is just the stress. The 10 of Wands has been coming up a lot for us lately. So you just might be in a space where you're feeling a little bit more overwhelmed than usual. And this makes a lot of sense because we have the pace is picking up in Gemini season. The momentum is here. But even with that full moon in Sagittarius, it was basically like, yes, things might be moving quicker, but at the same time, we still need to be aware. We still need to be conscious and patient about what we are growing and building. And it does look like you're doing that, and I'm not going to harp on it. One thing I would say, there is something though that is slowing you down. So just be aware of that, be mindful of that, whatever that may be for you. We're feeling a little bit more motivated beginning of the week to do what we need to do. The moon is in Sagittarius, Mercury is in Cancer, and they're both harmoniously aspected to Chiron, which is in Aries. So like self is empowering more. It feels a little bit more achievable. Even if you don't know 100% where you're going, you're still making steps and you're feeling really strong. You're feeling really confident. I do see you want certain results to come in, and I feel like that's not manifesting like quite yet. We have a really fortunate transit coming up on June 9th. Excuse me. It's Venus and Jupiter in conjunction with one another. And that is really just about like our wealth, our abundance, how we beautify our life. It has a lot of good positive aspects to it. As I'm saying that, 6 of Cups, Page of Cups, the Wheel, and 9 of Cups. So something pretty good coming in. And again, I don't necessarily see it happening this week because I feel like you're still getting situated with yourself, or there needs to be time that unfolds a little bit more before you're making certain decisions. Things feel a little bit more, certain expectations are coming to the table. Queen of Swords, trying not to put too much stock in it. And I think that's easier said than done. It feels like, I don't know, there's tension. There's tension around, it's the emotionality of what we do have to do, right? Like, and I kind of feel like this is more about when we think we're doing everything right and we're not necessarily open to other ideas, other potential, other possibility. there might be other steps that you can be taking. So maybe keeping that in mind beginning of the week, trying to open up different avenues to yourself, being a little bit more creative and inventive with your approach. That is more available with that moon and Mercury positively aspected to Chiron. But midweek, it feels a little bit more sensitive. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense with the Nine of Swords anxiety coming in midweek for us. So it looks like it's hard to let go, right? Let go of certain expectations that you have. There's a lot of disappointments, and this has been coming up a lot lately. But here's the thing, and I'm not trying to just sell something, even though like there's not a lot happening or things might not be progressing exactly how we hope or anticipate, it doesn't mean that it's not happening behind the scenes. And I feel like a lot of what we're going through, what we're learning through right now, is how to shed some of that limitation, right? Being thankful, being grateful for the beauty of what is. And that can be really hard. That can be really difficult because the grunt and grind, it's not pretty, it's not magical, it's not like a constant party. Um, and there's a lot of things that go with it. There's a lot of different moving pieces. And I feel like this is all about you being a little bit more gentle with yourself. It does look like you're being really hard on yourself right now. Like you're putting in a lot of effort and then either people aren't seeing it, you're not getting acknowledged, you're not seeing the results that you want. And so it just feels really defeating. I think this 5 of Cups is a really good depiction of the energy that's coming through midweek. It's the fear. It's the things that we do to sell ourselves short. Maybe without even realizing it. Because the Queen of Swords is very like no BS and doesn't necessarily take things personally because she makes her decisions from that standpoint as well. Even if she has to make a hard decision, a decision that hurts, she's going to make it because she knows what's best for the whole. And I feel like that's where it's like giving yourself a little bit more grace, even if you have had to make some tough choices. And it looks like maybe midweek you will have to do some of that. I should have clarified this. I'm going to backtrack a little bit with this 8 of Wands. We move into the midweek with 8 of Wands. So there might be some type of conversations, messages, communications coming through where you have to be really decided about what you're gonna do. It feels, and again, it feels like you can't take things personally or you're not taking things personally. This might be a harder conversation for someone else versus you, especially with you coming in as the Queen of Swords. Um, it looks like someone's trying to open the door for different options. Something hasn't been working out and it needs to be changed. And I feel like there's a recognition of this. I think that you're keeping things very light and you're holding on to things very loose. And it does look like whatever this is that's coming in, maybe you're not expecting it as well. It's not just like you can't have expectations. It's basically saying that you're not really expecting this conversation or communication. It does look like it stirs up some hurt, some pain, some old feelings, maybe unexpected as well. I'm going to clarify what this 5 of Cups is for you. This is where I think it's good to get out of your head where this card comes into play. Try not to hold on to things too tightly, especially conversations that we have around healing, because there is potential for this, but with it comes a lot. And this might even be that thing that you're kind of dragging your heels around, right? I don't know if it's like no decisions are being made or the types of decisions that are being made are keeping things in a very ambiguous state. because it's midweek, it's like, okay, well, after we have this conversation and you're saying all this stuff, then I got to figure out whether or not you're actually going to follow through with it. And you look like you're on the fence. But again, choosing to approach it in the most rational way possible. I think the fear, the anxiety, the disappointment is more behind the scenes. And again, that's probably where this energy is coming into play for you. Like maybe things can just try to be nice to yourself, right? Try not to bludgeon yourself. There, oftentimes there aren't right answers. We just got to make the best choice. And life really is an adventure. It's a journey. We're going to choose different things at different times. And it doesn't mean things are right, wrong, good, bad, whatever. Like, yes, there's a gradient, like a scale of what might be better and not so good for us. You feel a little beholden by something, and again, I feel like this is connected to like whatever is still lingering around. Let's look at this. Okay. So it does look like something is promising some change. But I feel like you're just not buying into it for whatever reason. And there might be some ulterior motivations here as well. But it also kind of seems like it makes you afraid. It makes you afraid of what this means moving forward. Like I talked about, we have Mercury tensely aspected to Neptune. So where we're having conversations with people and we're picking up BS or whatever, it's going to be very easy to see through things. And so taking someone at their word, even if they can't deliver, you might still need to give grace and understanding. Like let them, kind of do what they want to do. Like not everything has to be a fight is what I'm getting at. And especially if something hasn't happened quite yet. Because if we can just take a step back and not try to dictate control how the situations are going to go, then people end up like making their own mess. They do what they're going to do, right? But like when we're trying to like control and be like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, or that's not cool, or blah, 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 within reason, obviously. Speak your truth where you need to, is what I'm saying. But if we fight back or if it becomes combative, then the results end up becoming very different, or we end up like looping ourselves back into these karmic cycles. And I think that no judgments, it's helping you move through something I think you need to move through. I think it's important. I think this is something that like either, like I said, like it's taking a really long time, or eventually it's going to be in this direction, but you're just not really ready to deal with it quite yet. Page of Cups, 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups came in reverse. Happiness. Happiness is not being had in a situation. And it does look like there is a certain amount of change this week where there is a rebalancing to some capacity. But again, I also feel like you're a little skeptical about who and what this is. And it looks like it's just a lot about past situations, past dynamics, water under the bridge, seeing if something can actually follow through. I'm not quite sure, especially with this 10 of Swords, because it looks like the more conversations that are had, the harder it is for something to deal. And I'm thinking this, like I'm seeing this like from your inner truth, whatever this is that you're expressing. It feels like I'm seeing like a back and forth or more conversations that are happening. It's kind of just revealing the reality, the clarity of a dynamic. And it looks like that's hard for someone to receive. It's not only hard for them to receive, but it's even hard for them to have this conversation. Different expectations. their expectations are very much like you should just believe them right off the bat. They might even be blaming you for some stuff, or they might even kind of like reverse psychology it, where it's like, well, you make the choice, you make the decision. And I feel like, again, you coming in as the Queen of Swords is putting you in a really powerful place. Like, I do see that you are seeing through this stuff. It doesn't feel like, again, things that you want to see per se. I think the hope would be that things would work out differently than what they are currently manifesting as. But I think at the same time, it looks like you're keeping things simple, you're keeping things straightforward. You would rather see what the results are before you make too many decisions. Like, I don't know how much you're interacting, engaging with this energy. It looks like they're pursuing you a little bit more than you are to them. With this Scorpio Uranus, this is a very rebellious energy. Like, basically, like, I'm going to go completely against the grain. And maybe you have to, there is a level of stress that comes through with that, of actually, I think that this is like, as the situation's unfolding, it's helping you get really clear on what it is for you and what you want with it as a result. And I think that, like, you might not even be very clear on that in the beginning of all this, but the more you process through, and I think some of that does come through analyzing, right? What you think, what you feel, what you actually want out of this. But again, a lot of that is hard for someone because there's an expectation that things are just going to go back to how they used to be. Or, like I said, you should just take them at their word and everything can be fine, well, and good. I think that they are like, there is this attraction to your growth, to your evolution. I feel like it is being noticed and desired to connect with. Pluto is in retrograde right now. I keep forgetting to mention this. It will be in retrograde through mid-October. But Pluto retrograde really forces us to look at the places where we're not making changes, and changes are going to eventually be made. Like I was talking about in the very beginning, like, it looks like this is going in a certain direction. And I feel like that's the thing. I think this is a lot about not being afraid to say what you need to say, even if it does make someone uncomfortable. It feels like beginning of the week through midweek, you're playing nice, listening to what's being said, accepting it to some capacity, try not to hold on to it. Yes, I do think you have your own desires about how you want it to look, but I also see, like, that's what I keep hearing, like, what it has brought you from before. And so, as you're kind of thinking through all this stuff, it's revealing exactly what you need. And I feel like it's becoming easier for you to say what you need to say, to speak that truth, and to be confident and clear in that. And again, that's where I think that someone's having a really hard time, because it's basically showing like they want you to choose them. And I don't know that you're going to, right? Or you might have stipulations for someone, especially if something's coming back together. Like, you might have new boundaries, and it feels like that again is challenging for someone. I don't see you being closed off. I see you being open and willing and observant, but playing more from the sidelines than being like directly involved in the game. And I think that's really just because you want to see what's actually going to happen. With the waning gibbous, that's when things are starting to calm down. We're currently in the waning gibbous phase. So I love it. Always on point. But that's the time of the moon cycle when we are releasing. And here's the thing. I feel like spirit is giving you signs. There is confirmation coming through. And maybe that's the part of you that just has to be confident in the unfolding. I don't think that you're not, but like I don't know, there's something around this where again, it feels like it's moving slower than what it has to. You know, I don't like to put a lot of like it needs to look like this on it because I think everything does have its own evolution. And as much as maybe you would like to see things looking a little bit different right now, it just looks like it's not the time. But you might get lost in a sense of hopelessness or like defeat or that something's not going to work out, but remembering that there are things that are happening in the background. And the more that you're going through this process, the more you are able to connect with your inner truth, which is a really powerful thing. It is going to help you get out of your head. It's going to help you relieve some of the anxiety, some of the fear, some of the things that you really don't need to be playing into right now. I know that's easier said than done, but I think like your energy, as much as you might not have a direction or know the direction you're going in or how something's going to work out, your energy is willing to like see and show up and be available and not specifically back down. And not that you're combative, actually it's kind of a nice week, like we're not getting a lot of fighting. Whatever conversations are being had look a little bit more harmonious, like olive branch, willing to work to whatever capacity. And like I said, you look like you're open to it. Just be mindful, which I think you are, right? I don't even think I have to say that. I think you're being very aware, very present. So, thank you so much for your time, energy. Always, I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here. Definitely drop comments below if you did. I love to hear or just say hello, share and a little love, little TLC. I so appreciate all the love, all the support to the channel. Know that it blesses my heart, and I'm sending all the love, all the blessings back your way. I hope you have a fabulous evening. Talk to you soon. Oh, yeah.